CHBC Kids. My name's Erin and I'm so excited for what we're going to do today. Welcome to CHBC Kids. Jump up on your feet because today we're starting with some worship.
God is great. 7, 6, 5, God's alive. 4, 3, 2, 1, He's the King of everyone. God's the mighty, mighty Lord of all. Again, come on. 10, 9, 8, God is great. 7, 6, 5, God's alive. 4, 3, 2, 1, He's the King of everyone. God's the mighty, mighty Lord of all. Go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome back to CHBC Kids Online. It's awesome to have you joining with us for another great week. Last week, we got to look at an amazing story in Exodus. Can you remember what it was? That's right, it was the story of Moses and the burning bush. Today, we're going to be looking at another story, one you might have even heard before. It's in Exodus chapter 7, verse 14, through to chapter 12, verse 30. And today, we will be learning that God can do anything. Today we're going to jump straight into the story.
Hello friends, we're talking about escaping, and today we're going to hear an awesome story from the Bible about people who had a great escape. Last week we learned about when God told Moses about the plan to use him to set the Israelites free from Egypt. God gave Moses instructions to go to Pharaoh, the leader of Egypt, and tell him to let his people go. So that's what Moses did. What do you think Pharaoh said? He said no. So God sent a message to the Egyptians by sending a plague. The first plague was water in their river turned to blood. All the fish died and it was smelly, but that didn't change Pharaoh's mind. So Moses went back to Pharaoh and said, "Let my people go." Pharaoh said no again. God sent another plague to the Egyptians. The second plague was a whole bunch of frogs. They covered everything. They hopped on all the Egyptian people and all their houses, but Pharaoh's heart still didn't change. So Moses went to Pharaoh again and said, "Let my people go." Pharaoh said no again. So God sent a third plague to the Egyptians. God sent gnats, which are little flying bugs, and they were everywhere. But Pharaoh still didn't let the people go. So God sent a fourth plague to the Egyptians. There were flies everywhere. Do you think Pharaoh decided to let the people go then? No. God sent a fifth plague. All the animals that belonged to the Egyptians died. The Egyptians were very sad, but Pharaoh still did not let the people go. So God sent another plague. All the Egyptians got sores all over their body, but Pharaoh still didn't let the people go. God sent yet another plague to the Egyptians. A big storm with a lot of hail came to Egypt, but Pharaoh still didn't let the people go. God sent an eighth plague to the Egyptians. Locusts, flying, annoying bugs covered everything. but Pharaoh still wouldn't let the Israelites go. Then God sent a 9th plague to the Egyptians. The whole land became dark, and no one could see anything. Still, Pharaoh said no. Finally, God had one last plague to send to the Egyptians, and this one was the worst. He prepared the Israelites by telling them to kill a perfect lamb and paint the blood over their door frames. Then they were to have a special meal together and get ready to run away. That night, the angel of death came to their land, but passed over the houses of the Israelites that had blood on their door frames. Every firstborn son of the Egyptians died that night. Even Pharaoh's son died that night. The Egyptians were so sad. Pharaoh told the Israelites to leave Egypt. Moses and the Israelites were so happy. God was helping them escape. When God allowed the plagues to happen, God was communicating power. God cared about the people and would do anything to help them. God cares about us too, and He is bigger than anything we face. God can do anything.
What an incredible story that was. Now we're going to jump into some questions to help us understand the story even more.
How many of the plagues can you remember?
Awesome, guys. Well, the first question, and I'm going to throw this one to you, Matt, is how many of the plagues can you actually remember?
There was so many.
Only 10.
Only 10.
10.
10 plagues. So I think the first one was it blood in the river?
It was. All the water was turned to blood.
That's good.
Can you remember any of the others? You don't have to remember them all.
Oh, okay. Well, the frogs. I thought the frogs was a great one.
Yep.
And there's hail, and there's lice, and there's mice.
Not
and
mice. There's
trucks.
locusts.
So like
Definitely
trucks
not
coming
trucks.
from each. No.
Do you know what? It's actually
It's so hard to remember.
It is hard to remember, but it's okay if you can't remember them all because first of all, you can always go back and reread about it in our Bible passage for today in
Fantastic.
Exodus. But also there's an activity coming up later on which will help you to remember all of them.
I'm a bit excited about that.
You should be
one.
excited. It's actually a delicious activity today.
It's
That's
a tasty
clue.
activity.
It is.
Yeah, they're the best kind.
Yeah, awesome.
How did you guys go? How many could you remember?
What instructions did God give to the Israelites to be protected during the final plague?
All right, Matt. So the second question is, what instructions did God give the Israelites so as they could stay protected during the final plague?
Right, after the final plague. Well, it must have been really difficult because Pharaoh had pushed God right to the limit. His heart was very hard. And as a way of protecting the children of Israel, Moses said to all of them to take the spotless lamb, that special, significant lamb that their family had, that they'd been looking after, and to take that lamb and to shed its blood, to put the blood on the doorpost and on the lintel, and that would provide as protection for that family.
What did Pharaoh do after the plague of the firstborn?
So the third question is about what did Pharaoh do after the last plague with the firstborn son?
Yeah, well, it's actually pretty amazing because after this plague, I think because Pharaoh, you know, he was really hit hard with this one because his son also died as well, that he finally let the Israelites go.
He did.
How does the Passover demonstrate what Jesus did for us?
So our fourth question, Megan,
Yeah.
is how did Passover demonstrate what Jesus did for us?
You know, this is actually really incredible, and this is actually connected back to what you were telling us before, Matt. You see, to keep the Israelites safe for the plague of the firstborn son, what they had to do was to kill a perfect lamb and use the blood to protect themselves or to make sure that that plague passed over their house. And it's really incredible because this is actually what Jesus did for us. You know, Jesus was perfect. He was spotless. He was a sinless man who, just like that lamb, died. And then when his blood was shed, that was actually him taking the place of our sin, taking that for us, so as what the punishment for sin would normally be would pass over us, so as we could have relationship with God. So
a very special lamb, wasn't it? A very symbolic lamb of what Jesus was going to do.
It's really, really
us.
incredible. And it's amazing how the two are actually connected as well.
What would you say if someone said God isn't very powerful?
All right, Matt, so the next question is, what would you say if someone said God isn't powerful?
That's what I would say. That's
Wow.
like, what? As if. Like,
Yeah.
look what God did in all through the Bible. Look what God does in our lives.
Yeah.
God is very powerful.
He is. And, you know, even today we're learning that God can do anything.
God can do anything.
He is.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
And I think part of the responsibilities for us is to share what God does in our life so other people know too that God
Yeah.
is powerful. He can do anything.
Yeah, that's such a great answer, Matt, because there's so many examples, isn't there, of how powerful God is in the Bible, but also in our own lives.
Absolutely.
That's an awesome one. I love that one, Matt.
I like doing raspberries. That was fun.
What great things has God done in your life?
So our next question, Megan, is what great things has God done in your life?
Wow, so many. Where do I even begin? But in all seriousness, you know, God has done so many incredible things in my life. You know, even just a few of the things, He's put some really incredible people in my life. People who I know that support me, encourage me, and most importantly, help me to continue walking and growing in my relationship with God. You know, He's provided things for me. He's led me in new directions. He's just done so many things that, you know, it's impossible to name just one thing God has done in my life when there are so many.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
God can do anything.
He can do anything, and He does do anything, which is amazing. Anything that is for the benefit of His kingdom. And, you know, He does so many things, and in us obeying and being true to those things, it just brings glory to Him, and that's just amazing.
And I thought of things like our family
Yeah.
and our church and our friends. And even during this difficult time, God has done so many things to help keep us together as a family.
He has.
As a church family, it's been really
Definitely.
great.
Yeah, awesome.
Let's read Jeremiah chapter 32 verse 27. How does this verse remind you of what we heard about today? What does this verse tell us about God?
All right, guys, so next question asks us to read Jeremiah chapter 32, verse 27. So I'm going to do that now before we chat about it.
Maybe you can grab your Bibles and read along with Megan if you haven't already done so.
That would be awesome. All right. Chapter 32, verse 27. And it says, I am the Lord, the God of all peoples of the world. Is anything too hard for me? Wow.
That's a great verse.
It
isn't
is a great verse. And how does that remind us about what we've been talking about today?
Well, it reminds us that no matter what our circumstance, like the children of Israel, they were slaves in Egypt, and yet God was able to set them free. Nothing was too hard. Nothing is far enough away from Him that He can't do His thing, which is to be strong and to do hard things.
Exactly.
I'm really thankful that God is incredible. Like, He is just there for us all the time.
Yeah.
And that verse really reminds me that there is nothing too hard for God.
That's true.
All right, good morning guys and welcome to CHBC Kids. Now, today for our craft time, as you can see, we're doing something just a little bit different, and I really wanted us to do something a little bit creative to help us remember what the 10 plagues were that God did through Moses and with Moses in Egypt. So today we're actually going to be doing some cooking and we're going to be making plague brownies. Now, I know that doesn't sound very delicious, but I promise you it is. So this is actually what we are going to make, and they taste very good. Now, as you can see, I've got 10 different things in front of me that all represent different plagues that were sent to Egypt at that time. Now, I've also got a recipe card, so you'll be able to print out that and use it. All right, let's get started. So the first thing that we need to do is to make up our brownie mix. Now, I've just said, you can use a packet mix, whatever is easy, because this is only the base of our plague brownie recipe. So I've got mine in the bowl, and all I need to do now is add the eggs. There's no cracks. There we go. Crack it in. Fantastic. And then I need to add a bit of oil to my brownie mix. And then I'm just going to grab a little bit of water. Alright guys, so pour that in. And now all I need to do is give it a good mix. So remember, this is just the base for our plain brownies. And then we are going to add in all of the rest of our ingredients. Guys, so I hope you've been having a great week. I wonder if you guys have gotten up to any other fun things during the week. If you have, we would love to hear about them. I don't know about you guys, but this week I practiced this recipe about 100 times. So not only have I cooked lots of brownies, I've eaten lots of brownies too. All right, so once that is all beautifully mixed through, we are now going to come to the time where we're adding in all of our different things. Now, as I said before, they're only something to represent all of the different plagues and to help us remember what each of them were. So, here we go, all 10. The first thing I'm going to add in is some delicious raspberries. These were frozen, but fresh or frozen is fine. And these represent when the river and all of the water in Egypt was turned to blood. Then the next one was frogs. God sent frogs to fill Egypt. The next one, now in the Bible, some translations, this is called gnats, but we also would know it as lice. And lice was sent to Egypt. So I have some delicious mini marshmallows to remind us of that. The next one was flies. So I've gone with dark chopped chips, which is a lot more delicious than eating flies. Chuck those in. Now this one, we have to be a little bit creative here because the next plague that came upon Egypt was when all of the livestock got sick or injured and all of the Egyptians' livestock all died. Now, I couldn't find animal crackers, so I've gone with tiny teddies. So we'll chuck them in. Now that we put in half, I'm gonna mix all of those through. Oh, it's looking pretty good. And it's not even cooked yet. All right, now the next one. So the next one was that all of the Egyptians got boils, painful welts all over their skin. So I've gone with jaffas to remind me of the boils. Then they were sent hailstorms, ginormous hailstorms. So I've chopped up some little white jelly beans in there, as you can see. Chuck them in. And the next one is locusts. So I've gone with chopped up green jelly beans. I'm gonna eat this one. It's the whole one. I can't go them. The next one is a little bit creative again because God sent darkness, and it was dark over all of Egypt as if it was the middle of the night, but even during the middle of the day. And so I've chopped up a Milky Way. Depending on what your family likes, maybe you would also add licorice instead. Trying to finish my jelly bean. And then the last one that God sent was one where the eldest boy child in all of the Egyptian families and all of the families died, which is really sad. But God also gave the Israelites a way to protect themselves when they put the blood over their doors. So I'm going to use jelly babies to remind me of that one. All right. Mix it all through. Now you might think I'm a bit crazy, but I promise it's delicious. All right, move some of these bowls. Now what I'm going to do is I've got my baking tray here and I've put in baking paper just to make sure I can get it out nice and easily at the end. And so all I'm going to do is scoop my mixture into the tray. Might have to help it spread around. It's pretty thick. Alright. You can see all the good and yummy things inside. Alright. I don't know about you, but whenever I cook too, there's always a fight over who gets to lick the spoon, but because I'm the only one here, I'm going to save that for later. All right, once you've done that, you'll be able to just pop your brownie mix into the oven for as long as it says to on the packet or the recipe that you have used. So I'm gonna pop it in the oven now and I'm gonna come back and check on it a little bit later, and I'll come back and show you later what it looks like when it's all cooked and delicious. But I can't wait to see what you guys do. I know I've used different things, but you might think of some other things that you might add into your recipe instead to represent the different plates. And I would love to hear and see what you come up with, as well as hearing if it's tasted as delicious as this one is going to. All right, I'll see you soon, guys. Alright guys, so once your brownie is cooked and you've taken it out of the oven, you can let it cool to whatever temperature you like. I still like to have mine just a little bit warm. And then you'll be able to take it out of the pan. Hopefully this works first time. Fantastic. And then chop it up. Serve and enjoy. I can't wait to see how you guys go with your plague brownies.
We have an incredible God, and He really can do anything. This week, we're going to finish up with some worship, so jump up on your feet and sing and dance along. Can't wait to have you guys back for our final week of the series next week. So see you then. Bye.
Sin couldn't not dead, no. Really wish I could have seen it for show. When they looked in the tomb, they were asking everybody, yo, where did he go? Cause he's not here. And the soldiers out there, looking all spooked while they're trembling in fear, asking each other what really happened out here. J-E-S-U-S, one day, put to death, third day, rose again, power in his hand with a master plan. He already knew before the world begins, and he wants you to know he's coming again. So go run and tell your family friends, Jesus is alive, yo, sing it again.